It wasn't that bad. Maybe you've said that before. Maybe you've said it while describing something that made you cry to sleep. Maybe you've said it while laughing about something that quietly broke you. And maybe, just maybe, you've convinced yourself that because someone else had it worse, you don't get to call what happened to you trauma. But what if the most damaging part wasn't what happened to you? What if it was what you told yourself about it afterward? Today, we're diving into the psychology of minimizing your own trauma. Why you do it, how it protects you, how it harms you, and how to finally stop gaslighting yourself. Stay with me, because this might explain more about your life than you realize. And before we dive in, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next deep dive into the psychology behind the patterns shaping your life. If this message resonates at any point, like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and comment, "I'm ready to understand," below. Your engagement doesn't just support the channel, it helps more people break free from silent struggles. It wasn't that bad. On the surface, it sounds humble, mature, resilient, but psychologically, it can be a powerful defense mechanism. Minimization is a cognitive distortion, a mental strategy that downplays the intensity, impact, or severity of an experience. It often shows up like this: other people had it worse. They didn't hit me, so it wasn't abuse. My parents tried their best. It only happened once. I'm just being dramatic. Notice something important. The focus isn't on what happened. The focus is on invalidating your own emotional reaction to what happened. That's the key. Minimization isn't about facts. It's about emotional survival. Let's talk neuroscience and survival. When you experience overwhelming stress, especially in childhood, your brain's primary goal isn't clarity, it's attachment. If the people who hurt you are the same people you depend on for survival, your brain faces an impossible dilemma. Do I accept that I'm unsafe, or do I protect the bond? For a child, losing attachment feels more dangerous than losing truth. So the brain chooses attachment. Instead of "this is abuse," it becomes "they're just stressed." Instead of "that scared me," it becomes "I'm too sensitive." Minimization preserves connection. It reduces cognitive dissonance, the psychological discomfort that happens when two realities clash. 1, my caregiver loves me. 2, my caregiver hurt me. To resolve that tension, the brain edits the second statement, and over time, that edit becomes your identity. One of the most common forms of minimization is comparison. I had food, clothes, education. It wasn't that bad. At least they didn't beat me. Other kids had it worse. Here's the psychological truth. Trauma is not defined by the event alone. It's defined by how your nervous system experienced it. Two children can live in the same house and come out with completely different psychological wounds. Why? Because trauma isn't about what happened. It's about whether you felt safe, supported, and emotionally seen. Emotional neglect, being unseen, unheard, chronically dismissed, doesn't leave bruises, but it leaves something else. A child who grows up believing their feelings don't matter, and that belief shapes everything. Minimization feels protective, but long-term, it has consequences. When you repeatedly tell yourself, "it wasn't that bad," you train your brain to distrust your own emotional signals. You override discomfort.
You suppress anger. You rationalize mistreatment. As an adult, this can look like staying too long in toxic relationships, tolerating disrespect, struggling to set boundaries, feeling guilty for having needs, invalidating your own pain. Why? Because somewhere deep down you learned, if I can survive that, I can survive anything. But survival isn't the same as health, and coping isn't the same as healing.
In many families, there's an unspoken rule. We don't talk about that. Or worse, that never happened. When your reality is denied repeatedly, something dangerous happens. You begin to question yourself. This is where minimization merges with internalized gaslighting. You start rewriting your memories. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I deserved it. And here's the heartbreaking part. You don't even realize you're doing it. Because minimizing was once the safest option. It kept peace. It prevented conflict. It maintained belonging. But now, it keeps you disconnected from yourself. Some people minimize trauma because they've built their identity around strength. You might be the responsible one, the mature one, the one who never complains, the one who turned out fine. But strength can become a shield. If you admit it hurt, if you admit it affected you, if you admit it still echoes in your body, then who are you? Sometimes minimizing isn't about denying pain. It's about protecting the story you tell about yourself. I'm fine. I'm independent. I don't need help. But what if acknowledging pain doesn't weaken you? What if it completes you?
You might say it wasn't that bad, but your nervous system might disagree. Do you overreact to criticism? Shut down during conflict? Feel intense anxiety when someone raises their voice? Struggle to relax? Feel emotionally numb? Trauma isn't always stored as memory. It's stored as sensation. Your body remembers what your mind minimizes. And that's why healing doesn't begin with proving something was bad enough. It begins with asking, how did it make me feel?
Another reason people minimize trauma, they fear becoming the villain. Admitting harm can feel like accusing someone, especially a parent. You might think, if I say it hurt me, I'm saying they're bad. If I acknowledge it, I'm ungrateful. If I talk about it, I'm betraying my family. But here's the nuance. Understanding impact is not the same as condemning intention. Someone can love you and still hurt you. Someone can try their best and still fail you. You are allowed to hold complexity, and complexity does not make you cruel. Many people don't recognize their trauma until adulthood. Why? Because when something is normal to you, you don't label it as harmful. You only realize it later when you see healthier families, you enter relationships and feel triggered, you start therapy, you have children of your own. Suddenly, what was normal feels confusing. You think, wait, that wasn't okay. And then immediately, but it wasn't that bad. That second thought is the reflex. It's old wiring. It's protection. But protection from what? Often from grief. Because if you admit it hurt, you have to grieve what you didn't get. And grief is heavy. Minimization numbs grief. If it wasn't that bad, then you don't have to mourn. The childhood you didn't have, the safety you didn't feel, the validation you never received, the protection that didn't come. But unprocessed grief doesn't disappear. It leaks into relationships, into anxiety, into self-doubt, into people-pleasing, into burnout. Healing begins when you allow yourself to say, "It affected me," not because you want to blame, but because you deserve truth. You might be minimizing if you laugh while telling painful stories. You immediately follow a vulnerable statement with, "But it's fine." You feel guilty for feeling hurt. You struggle to call something abuse unless it was extreme. You defend people who hurt you more than you defend yourself. You feel uncomfortable when others validate your pain. If any of that resonates, pause. Not to judge yourself, but to recognize a survival strategy at work. Minimization isn't weakness, it's adaptation, and you can thank it before you outgrow it. Healing from minimization doesn't require dramatic confrontation. It starts small. 1. Replace comparison with curiosity. Instead of "others had it worse," ask, "How did that experience shape me?" 2. Separate facts from impact. The event might seem small, the impact might not be. 3. Notice automatic dismissals. When you say, "It's not a big deal," pause. Is that true, or is that protection? 4. Allow complexity. You can love someone and acknowledge harm. 5. Validate without exaggerating. You don't have to inflate your story to justify your pain. You only have to tell it honestly. There's a quiet revolution that happens when you stop minimizing. You stop explaining away red flags. You stop shrinking your emotions. You stop tolerating what feels wrong. You start trusting your internal signals. And that changes everything. Because once you trust yourself, you become harder to manipulate, harder to silence, harder to shame. And that's powerful. Yes, you survived. That matters. But survival is the floor, not the ceiling. You are allowed to want more than not that bad. You are allowed to want safety, respect, emotional attunement, repair, peace. You are allowed to say, "It hurt," even if no one else agrees, especially then. What if the question isn't, "Was it that bad?" What if the real question is, "Did it leave a mark?" If it shaped how you see yourself, if it taught you to shrink, if it taught you to ignore your feelings, if it still echoes when someone raises their voice, then it mattered. And if it mattered, you're allowed to acknowledge it, not to live in it, but to release it. For so many people, the hardest part of healing isn't confronting what happened. It's admitting that it affected them. Minimization was once your shield, but you don't need that shield anymore. You can be strong and honest, resilient and wounded, grateful and grieving. You can say, "It wasn't the worst thing in the world," and also say, "It still hurt me." And that truth, that's where real healing begins. If this resonated with you, sit with it. Not to blame, not to rewrite history, but to gently, compassionately stop rewriting yourself out of your own story. Because your experience matters, even if it wasn't that bad.